Hi there, and welcome to One Degree Advisors, where we help families cut through the noise to make confident financial decisions. Anthony, our nation is suffering through uncertainty, first of the COVID crisis, and more recently, the racial injustices and subsequent protests. Through these issues, there seems to be a lack of financial education, and it's exposed. People affected the most by COVID may not know how to save for emergencies, and many communities don't have the same level of access to financial education. And the truth is, we believe that a lack of financial education and exposure is at the root of many of these problems. So in short, we created Money Smart Families. And today we want to talk about that, how we launched the program, and why we see financial education as so important going forward.
Yeah, it really can be a solution to a lot of the nation's problems, to be financially educated, to be exposed to how to handle money. And ideally, learning how to handle money starts in the home. But we also know that that's not always taught in the home, and not everybody has access to that.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing I hear a lot too is that people say, well, this needs to be taught in schools. This needs to be, my kids aren't taught this in school. Why aren't they? But I think what I'm hearing you say is, unfortunately, it isn't. There's nothing we can do about it. But what we can do is teach it in the home.
Yeah, we can't wait for it to be taught in the schools. I mean, everybody talks about that for decades now, and it does seem obvious, and it doesn't seem that difficult to be able to put it in schools. But we can't just wait on that. It does need to be taught in the home, and then we need to be out there. We need to mobilize to where we're teaching in the schools, in the churches, in the youth groups, wherever it may be, to help people educate.
And now I know that you actually have a kind of an interesting story on this, of how you kind of got started along the path of finances and getting interested in it, because that wasn't necessarily something that you were brought up in, in the financial industry, right, in your home.
Yeah, I had a friend that actually talked quite a bit about investing because his parents talked to him about it, and it really interested me. So I did the research myself, got a little bit of money, invested some of it, and it was just really that path. My parents did a really good job with setting expectations around finances and expenses, especially when it came to college. So I learned a lot from that perspective, but it came from different angles.
Yeah. Now you've also taught finances more formally in other places for those who can't get it in the home, right? We're saying get it in the home, but as we know, not everyone will. And you've taught finances.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of everybody that's watching this video, we need to pass along financial wisdom wherever that may be, whether it's formally or informally. I mean, some of the things that we've been able to do, and I say we because like Janice is taught in the colleges, she's taught in the schools, she's taught in the church settings. Audrey and I actually, one of the first ways that we got to know each other before we started working together was through a business principles study class that we did at our church. I've taught, 2 years of financial education at high school, done lots of church workshops. And you, Alex, have done, some premarital counseling with young couples. And, that kind of stuff saves a lot of pain later by, getting on the same page.
Yeah. Mitch Anthony has a great phrase, and I think it goes, it's better to prepare than to repair. And I can't think of anything more applicable to this situation. You spend the time to learn it, but of course you need to have the tools to be able to learn this stuff. And again, that's why we've rolled out Money Smart Families. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, it's a program that we've put together for our clients as a starting point, and it basically provides each child with a set of material for that given year, and it corresponds to their age. So, for example, like their topic may be on saving, or it may be having a giving experience, and then being able to debrief on that. What have I learned, and how can I apply that in the future? Things like career assessments, even. One of the exercises that we put together was on like coming up with agreements on driving. So, a young teenager that's going into driving, what are the parameters around
the joys of first learning how to drive?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm there with my son, so it's really helpful.
Yeah. Well, again, I think this is just a fantastic use for folks. Again, we're starting to roll it out with our current clients, but again, it's just so much better to prepare than to repair. And I think about all of these studies and statistics that show, and I think you've actually written a piece on this, which we can also link in here, talking about how when you learn these characteristics younger, at an early age, they really stick with you for a longer period of time. You're less likely
Yep.
to make mistakes down the road. And let's be honest, if you're going to make mistakes, let's make mistakes early on when you're younger rather than learning the hard way later on. That's much more hard to deal with.
Yeah, I
So
mean, the research does show that this learning about money can start at a very young age,
yeah,
and it can start through simple everyday conversations. You know,
yeah.
Tyrone Ross, who's a big proponent of financial education, he says it's education, exposure, and empowerment, and that's not something that it takes a financial advisor to help. We can all be part of that solution.
Education, exposure, empowerment. I love it. All right. Well, thank you, Anthony, for walking us through this. I know it's been a really important priority for you, and we're excited to roll this out. If you would like help in this area, not only with your own finances, but really how to create a legacy, train up your children to be wise with their finances, give us a call, visit our website. We'd love to talk with you.